This is the mangaka that wrote my absolute favorite omegaverse series, Kashikomarimashita Destiny. If you don't know Kashikomarimashita Destiny and you're into omegaverse, click out of this video right now and go read it. I'm kidding, stay till the end, but after the end of the video, go read Kashikomarimashita Destiny. Amazing story. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ope and I love talking about things I love and enjoy. So this channel is just more of an outlet for me to talk about a lot of these things. An outlet that I desperately needed because most, if not all of the people in my circle of influence are normies. So I can exactly have conversations about these things with them. And if you think I look too proper to be filming a video like this, there is a reason for that. I just got back from work and suddenly had the urge to film a video, and honestly, energy has been a bit of an elusive bitch. It's been really hard to come by, so I just jumped on the opportunity to film this video. In this video, I'm going to be mostly going over yaoi that I bought last month. I think it was sometime around last month that Barnes & Noble had this sale going on where if you bought $50 worth of stuff, you would get a $10 reward if you were a member of their rewards program or you had a premium membership with them. So I placed two different orders that got me a $20 reward. And another thing that I've mentioned in one of my videos before is that my job has a reward program where if you have a certain amount of fitness activity daily, you can convert that to points that you use to buy gift cards. I use mine for Barnes & Noble's gift cards a lot, so I technically did not pay money for this order. I paid for it with my fitness activity basically, but I bought 9 volumes of manga in the 2 orders I placed. One of them was Jujutsu Kaisen, which we will not be covering in this video because this is a yaoi manga haul. But all in all, I had 8 volumes of manga that I bought. They are from 4 publishers: Yen Press, 7 Seas, Sublime. About half of them are from Sublime, actually. Yeah, exactly half of them. 4 volumes are from Sublime, and then I have 1 volume from Kodansha Comics as well. So I'll go ahead and start with the title I have from Yen Press, which is Sasaki Miyano Volume 8. I absolutely love this series. I watched Sasaki Miyano when the anime came out. I can't remember what year it came out in, but I watched it and promptly forgot about it. But I rewatched it again recently and decided to read the manga after I finished watching it, and I just fell in love with the story again. This is such a cute, pure, wholesome, and heartwarming story. Like, honestly, any positive adjective you can think of to describe a romantic story or just any situation in general can probably be applied to describe this series. They are just so cute and heartwarming to watch. It's very low on angst, very low on toxicity. I've rewatched it. I've rewatched the anime twice this year, and I've reread volumes 7 through 9 where the anime stops twice as well. So I really love this story, and sometimes I just have it playing in the background to combat intrusive negative thoughts that I sometimes have. So if you're having a really bad day or you've just been reading some really depressing and heart-wrenching stuff and you need a break from those things, this is the series for you. Sasaki Miyano, like, it's just sweetness. And it's not cringy. I like the fact that it's not cringy. It's just sweet and makes you want to melt into your chair and hug them. Like, they are so adorable. I love how wholesome this is. So that's been Sasaki Miyano Volume 8. I plan to collect all the volumes of this manga, and I have 4 volumes so far. So I'm almost done collecting it, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, that's Volume 8 of Sasaki Miyano. There are 2 stories here that are completely new to me, and I'll go over them as the last set of things that I go over. But every other thing here I am pretty much very familiar with, except that it's been a while since I read them. So I think it was sometime during the years 2015 to like 2019. I was absolutely obsessed with yaoi, and I read anyone and everyone that I could find. So although I might be very familiar with a lot of these stories, I don't completely remember what they're about, so I might not be able to summarize them very well, and will be using the help of the synopsis on the back to kind of go over the series. The very first one here is Classmates, Doukyuusei. I think this is a really popular one. This is like a first love story of two boys who are in high school. It's an all-boys school, and one of the main characters is like a really proper boy that the other main character thought was a little bit of a snub, but he starts helping him. I think it was like with a musical recitation, and they slowly start to fall in love with each other. But the synopsis goes, Hikaru always thought his classmate Rihito was kind of a snub until he stumbles across Rihito secretly practicing a song in an empty classroom. Hikaru agrees to become Rihito's music tutor, and with each lesson, the two boys become closer. But when Hikaru realizes that he's falling for Rihito, will they stay classmates or become something more? Even though I can't really remember the details of this series, I remember the way it made me feel. I like the way it really portrays the feeling of falling in love for the first time. I thought it was a very accurate representation of that feeling and how that can sometimes feel very all-encompassing, which can just be love in general. But I think there's something very special about the first time of actually feeling something that intense. So yeah, Classmates is an amazing series. And something that I just found out about Classmates is that it actually has quite the number of sequels, which I never knew about. So if you happen to be watching this and you weren't aware of that, I will quickly go over them with you, because I am the gift that keeps on giving, and I just want to share these things with people. So I will grab my laptop and open Wikipedia to go over the sequel of the sequels, plural, of Doukyuusei Classmates. So the very first one in the series is Doukyuusei Classmates. Then you have Sosugyosei, which means graduate. So basically they just graduated from high school and they're both trying to figure out what they want their futures to look like. One of them decides to go to school in Kyoto and the other one stays back in Tokyo. Or maybe it's the other way around. Either way, they're both going to school in two different places. And the next one in the series is Sora and Hara, which is a spin-off series. It doesn't really focus on the two main characters, but one of them does make a cameo in this one. The next one is Occupation to Be Loved. They both decide to have a long-distance relationship with each other despite going to university in two different states. And the one after that is Blanc. They're both now in their final year of university. They decide to take a break with each other, but later reconcile with each other and reaffirm their relationship with each other. And the final one in the series that focuses on the two main characters is Home. And this just wraps up the story nicely. Like, who doesn't love a mangaka that gives you closure on a series that you've become very invested in? In this very last sequel, they both get married and they move into a shared apartment. Just reading that, reading that summary, even though I haven't read the story, it makes me very happy to know like that's how their relationship ended, that they decided to actually get married to each other. So I just wanted to share that with you in case you weren't aware of it, because that's something that I read and found out about the other day that made me incredibly happy. So I just want to make someone else happy with that information as well. So that's been Doukyuusei. The next series I have here is 10 Counts. This is another one that I am pretty familiar with. I remember the way it made me feel. Do I remember absolutely everything about it? That's gonna be a no. 10 Count, I remember, is about this guy on the front cover who is a secretary that has obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and he meets a therapist who basically tells him that he can take him through a 10-step program to overcome his compulsion. Let's see. Corporate secretary Shirotani suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder. One day he meets Kurosei, a therapist who offers to take him through a 10-step program to cure him of his compulsion. As the two go through each of the 10 steps, Shirotani's attraction to his counselor grows. So that's 10 Count. I can't wait to get into this story again, see if my I guess memory of the story still kind of holds, and if it's something that I will enjoy again today. The next series here is Jackass by Scarlett Berrico. Now, if you're a yaoi reader, you absolutely know Scarlett Berrico. Scarlett Berrico is, I think, a very, very amazing yaoi mangaka, and this is my absolute favorite series by her. It's a really short one too. I think it's just this one volume. This is also a high school based kind of romance, although it focuses more on the sexual side of things. And I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I read this as a teenager. A lot of yaoi that I was reading, Some of them did have good stories and I enjoyed them for the stories, or I sought them out for the plot or the story that was being told. But most of them I was reading for the pure filth that was going on in them, and this was one of those. So this is about two friends. One of them is like super handsome, rich and everything. He can basically get anyone that he wants, but he discovers this kink that is into when his friend wears, I think it was his sister's pantyhose to gym class by mistake, because it got caught up in their laundry and he mistakenly took it to school. That's what I can remember of the series. But again, let's look at the synopsis to help us to remember this a little bit better. So Keisuke's incredibly handsome best friend Masayuki has always rubbed him just a little bit the wrong way. Maybe it's because Masayuki is rich, carefree, and so stunningly handsome that he can and does have any girl he wants. But one day, when Keisuke accidentally wears his older sister's pantyhose to gym class, it's suddenly his hot friend who's doing the rubbing. On Keisuke's pantyhose-clad legs, has he unwittingly unleashed a secret fetish that would change their relationship forever? Again, I was reading this for pure filth, and it was really short. It's not like it dragged on the story or anything. Like, these are just people kind of discovering sexual fetishes with each other. I can't tell you I enjoyed that, but I did, and that's just it. So that's Jackass by Scarlett Berrico. I think she's an amazing mangaka. You should definitely check out her other works. She has like stories with amazing plots. They might not be deep or like super detailed, but they're always really enjoyable. So she's a mangaka that just kind of stays in my head for a reason. Like I can always relate her name to a story that I enjoyed or that I am going to enjoy. The next one here is Coyote by Zaria Ramaru. I'm not even going to front for this one. If I want to read something that's just pure filth, Zaria is the one to read. I've read multiple of series by Zaria that are just pure filth. But the funny thing about Zaria's stories is they actually tend to have very interesting plots. Actually, they tend to have very interesting plots, but that does not take away from the amount of smart you will get from the story. So I like that. It's like a combination. Like you go into a story just for the smut, but you also get a good plot out of it. It's like a 1+1 deal to steal from Munjuni. This is a 1+1 deal. So you go in for the smut, but you also get a good plot out of it. Because I went into this just for the smut, I cannot remember the plot at all. So I'm definitely going to have to refer to the synopsis for this one. So in order to conceal that he's a werewolf, Coyote avoids getting too involved with humans, but Marlene, a pianist at a bar he frequents, is interested in him and just won't take no for an answer. When Coyote unexpectedly goes into hit for the first time, Marlene catches him while he's unable to maintain his human form and offers up a tempting invitation. Coyote wants to resist, but can he? I'm starting to remember bits and pieces of this story. When I read it, it wasn't completed at the time. I don't know if it's now completed, but yeah, this is another one that I cannot wait to get into. Zaria Ramaru. If you prefer the smuttier side of yaoi, this is definitely a mangaka to look out for. Again, smut. There's not much more to say there. Like, it's just smut, but you sometimes get good plots out of it. Like, that's a great deal in my opinion. But yeah, Coyote. The next story I have here is Hitorijime My Hero. Now, this is one that I've recently done a reread of ever since I bought these volumes. And it's just been interesting to do a reread of this years later, because the first time I read it, I was a teenager. I have a little bit more life experience now, and most days I can now pass as kind of an adult. I have different perspectives and a mindset to kind of approach stories like this. And I just read it like, oh my god, I really love this. It feels nostalgic. Let's do a reread of it because I really enjoyed it. I also rewatched the anime while I was rereading it, and I thought it was interesting that my perspective on some things have changed. So this is a story about a guy called Masahiro Setagawa who doesn't believe in heroes but wishes he could. He's found himself trapped in a gang of small-time street bullies and with no prospects for a real future. But when high school teacher Kosuke Oshiba comes to his rescue, he finds he may start believing after all in heroes and in his budding feelings too. So Setagawa is the younger male character in this. This is an age gap romance, by the way. Setagawa is a student and Oshiba is his teacher, like was mentioned in the synopsis. But Yeah, Setagawa comes from a single parent household. His mom is a single mom, but in their relationship with each other, he's also kind of the more mature, responsible one. So seeing that, someone might think, well, like, well, he is probably mature enough to be in a relationship with his teacher. But when the story started, he was in middle school, and when he started dating Kosuke, I think he was in like first year of high school. So he's still pretty young, probably like 16 years old. I can't exactly remember how old Kosuke was, but he was old enough to be a teacher. So at least he has to be about like 24, 25. Not a really large age gap, but when the younger person is 16, I don't know, like, I don't know how mature you can really be to have such a grown relationship. And the funny thing is, in this story, I actually did find their feelings towards each other to be really genuine. My only problem with it is on Setagawa's side. I feel like he has placed Kosuke on this kind of pedestal because he sees him as a hero who saved him. And that might be true, but to be dealing with that kind of complicated feelings with someone that you're now in a romantic relationship with, even for adults, that can be a problem when you place someone on too high of a pedestal and you're kind of meant to be equals in a relationship. Talk less of someone who is much younger and now has a relationship with an older person, a much older person who they've placed on a pedestal. I don't know. I haven't really caught up to the story. I dropped it somewhere along the line, and I know it's still ongoing, so I don't know where the story is at right now. I actually don't know if I'm going to keep reading it, but that's how I felt about this first volume. After rereading it, things have suddenly taken a serious turn, even though this was more meant to be me talking about like filthy stuff that I enjoyed reading as a teenager. But that's what I felt when I reread this. But I really enjoyed this when I was much younger. My rating of it is still a little bit iffy now that I'm rereading it, but then this is just still the one volume. I might keep reading it and get back to you on how I feel about it now. But yeah, that's Hitorijime, my hero, and I absolutely love this manga volume's cover. Honestly, Kodansha does like really amazing work for their manga volume covers. They're always absolutely gorgeous and super colorful. So I really love that about Kodansha. So yeah, that's Hitorijime, my hero. And this wraps up the last title for a series that I'm already pretty familiar with. The last two I have here are pretty new to me. The first of which is Black or White. So I saw the cover for this and I was intrigued, but then I noticed that the art looked pretty familiar. I'm like, where do I know this from? So I had to go look up the mangaka's name. I'm like, Sachimo. Where do I know that name from? And then I remembered and realized that this is the mangaka that wrote my absolute favorite omegaverse series, Kashikomarimashita Destiny. If you don't know Kashikomarimashita Destiny and you're into omegaverse, click out of this video right now and go read it. I'm kidding, stay till the end, but after the end of the video, go read Kashikomarimashita Destiny. Amazing story. I love it so much. I read it at least once a year. It's that good. Kashikomarimashita Destiny and Tadaima Okaeri, like those are my two favorite omegaverse mangas. Like I love those stories so much, but this is Black or White. It's about Shin, a brand new actor who is unfairly typecast as a villain, and Shige, his secret lover since college, who is a rising star and often gets the role of the heartthrob and the good guy. This is already interesting. Secret relationship between two actors? Tell me more. With Shige's popularity on the rise and Shin's awkward personality making him resemble the villain he plays, the two can't risk being seen together for fear of tainting Shige's image. Oh no, this is getting sad. And to complicate matters further, their relationship has lacked physical intimacy since their disastrous first time together. Every good role needs its conflict, but will this couple call it a wrap when they suddenly find themselves in the spotlight? Oh no. You know, as much as I love Sachimo, she does, I don't know if this is a she actually, as much as I love this mangaka, they do have a tendency to write stuff on the deeper, more intense feeling side. Still very enjoyable. There is a little bit of smut in Kashikomarimashita Destiny. Omegaverse stories, of course, like there is smut. Like that's what you're there for. Don't lie to yourself. That's what you're there for. But they do tend to be very, very intense in the feelings and deep parts of the plot. So I can definitely see this being a story that would take you for a ride. It sounds very interesting and I cannot wait to read it. So that is Black or White. The last new one that I have here is Our Dining Table. This looks absolutely adorable. I've always really enjoyed yaoi that have little kids in them for some reason that I can't understand. I just really love them. They tend to be really wholesome. And a lot of them that I read are probably usually about like men that got divorced or men that lost their wives. And just that opportunity, or the writer writing them to kind of find love, not only for themselves, but also with someone that kind of fits into their family dynamic because they already have a kid in the mix, is always really, really interesting and wholesome and heartwarming to read. So this is Our Dining Table. Eating around other people is a struggle for salaryman Yutaka, despite his talent for cooking. All that changes when he meets Minoru and Tane, two brothers many years apart in age, who ask him to teach them how to make his delicious food. It's not long before Yutaka finds himself falling hard for the meals they share together and falling in love. So this is not about like a father and son, it's more about two brothers, but still there's a kid in the mix. And I just think kids have a way of making things like really wholesome and heartwarming and cute, because they're kids. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this. It looks absolutely adorable. I don't know how many stories there are to this, but I cannot wait to read it. But yeah, this is the last series that I have in this haul, and that's been my yaoi haul. I definitely have more yaoi coming in the Right Stuff sale if it ever ships sometime in this century. I'll be looking forward to it. But that is my yaoi haul. I can already feel my energy start to dwindle. I am ready to go to bed. It's like, what? It's like 8 p.m. You know what? Before this video gets depressing, I'm going to wrap up the video. Whatever day you find yourself watching this, make it a great day. I hope you've been able to get some good suggestions for manga from this video, or just enjoy watching me be absolutely overjoyed, excited, talking about this series, either discovering things that I've read before or be really excited to get into new stuff. But I will see you in my next video. Bye.